Okay, so we will start the course. Uh, I think last time we've read up to 29. So the text we're reading is called Tarka Sangraha or by Anambat. He's a very late, we call it Nayayika philosopher. Um, well, his book, I mean, this Tarka Sangra is a combination of both Nyaya system and the Vaisheshika system. So you will see that some of his expressions cannot be found in previous Nyaya treatises. That is because he combined Nyaya and Vaisheshika together. And since we have to consider uh, his uh, his date is quite late, about 16th century somehow. So at that time, there's already some development in both systems. So you will not you will maybe find it quite different from the original Nyaya system. I mean the Nyaya Sutra at that level. So last time we stopped at 29. So today we start from 30. Okay, so I will read the text and the translation. If the notes uh, may have some suggestion or help to our understanding, I will also talk about it. Adyasyandana samavahikaranam dravaritam prithviaptejovati tad sansiddhikam naimitikam sansiddhikam jare naimitikam prithvi tejaso prithvyam kritadav agni samyogajam dravatvam tejasi suvarnadav. So fluidity, here he is talking about fluidity. This dravatvam is the non-material cause of the first moment of flowing of a liquid substance. So fluidity only exists in a liquid substance, such as water or anything that can flow naturally. You can even say that fluidity exists in somehow honey or in cafe, in Coca-Cola. Yeah. So his expression is the first moment of flowing of a liquid substance. So he explains this adya syandana samavai. He's saying this. So the first moment when of flowing adya syandana, that is the very first flowing, and which is samavai karana, non-material cause, samavai karana. It exists in earth, water, fire, or light. So that exists in four different categories: earth, water, fire, and light. For fluid, it has two kinds. It is of two kinds: natural and incidental. So he is saying that this sansiddhikam and naimitikam. So the first one is natural, born by itself, but later is done by some uh, external causes. The natural fluidity is found in water, and incidental or caused fluidity is found in earth and fire. So naturally, we will see that everything that is nearly a natural fluid, such as water, or something else, it can flow. It can flow naturally. But however, if you have to find something, some water existing in the earth, or even the metal melt by fire, because in the natural state, the natural status, they cannot flow actually. Only by heating them or adding too much water can they flow like a fluid. So we call the fluidity existing in the earth and fire. It is a incidental fluidity, or the naimiticum. The fluidity in the earth is caused by contact with fire, as in the case of ghee, etc. So he takes the example of ghee. We know that if you heat the ghee, you will get the fluid of its fluid form. Therefore, he's saying that contact the contact with fire will cause the fluidity in earth. And also for the case of mineral substance, it's also the fire. We should have contact with fire. But here he's saying that the fluidity in fire, how we can observe that in fire there is the existence of fluidity. That is only by the time when we see that somebody is heating gold, silver, etc. In that case, when uh, these metals were melt into into their water, their fluid forms, only by that time we observe their fluidity. So here, this note 30, I think it does not has too much to say about it. Okay, 31. Churna di pindi baba he turkanach snehach. Jara matravrti. Moisture is the quality which helps the powder coming into the form of a ball. It exists only in water. Okay. Moisture is the sneha. Well, this word has also many different meanings. Usually we'll say something like oiliness, unctuousness. But that is only the case when we say something about oil. In this case, this sneha is moisture is okay, I think. And also in some special case, we have the meaning of love, attachment to fondness or affection. That is the sneha, especially for example, some special kind of friendship, you will have the word sneha between two persons. If we have a take a look at the wording Anambata is using, we can see that he uses the jur. That is the powder jur, powder flour, aromatic powder, pounded sandal. So if you have to make something into a form of a bowl, you have to, especially those in the form of powder, you have to use water or even honey or some kind of yeast, and to make them into the form of bowl. So in that case, we know that the quality of moisture only exists in water. Okay, 32. Shrotragrahya gunach shabda akasha matrapti sadvivido dvanyatmako varnatmakoscha dvanyatmako peryadao varnatmakach sanskrita bhasha dirupach. Okay, here we come up with many familiar words. So sound is the quality which is revealed by ears. So that can be grasped by ear. Schrotra is uh, the organs to catch sound. That is short. It comes from the verb shru, to hear, to listen to. Yeah. So shrotra is the ear, the organ of hearing. And sound only exists in the ether, akasha. This akasha is in the philosophical context usually means this ether or just air, something like that. But we should not confuse this meaning to the physical atmosphere. It's somehow different. So in the philosophical context, it has this meaning: the subtle and ethereal fluid, supposed to fill and pervade the universe, and to be the peculiar vehicle of life and of sound. So without Akasha, we cannot even hear any sound. So sound is of two types: noise and linguistic noise, such as phones, etc. We should pay attention to the words he is using. Dvani Atmako and Varna Atmako. Dvani Atmaka, that is, whose nature is Dvani, and this one, whose nature is Varna. So, what is the difference between Dvani and Varna? Dvani usually, in its very original meaning, it just means sound, noise, and tone, echo, something like that. But for Varna, Varna is just like uh, a sound pronounced in some kind of linguistic way. That is a Varna. It's different from the mere noise made by some natural phenomenon. And for this word Dvani, we also have something can I have something to say. Dvani actually in the context of uh, Sanskrit rhetorical treatises, I mean the Alankara system, it usually means something like resonance or suggestion. It concerns something like the how people can feel the beauty within some kind of poetries or proses. The ultimate answer would be that because it contains some kind of Dvani. Yeah, Dvani is the ultimate cause for us to feel the literal beauty that is hidden in the text. Although some other schools do not agree with such theories, they will say that it's actually other things that cause people to understand the beauty in poetry and prose. And next he says, example for noise will be when one beats a drum, etc. And the linguistic noise is any language like Sanskrit. So we can see here, beri. Beri is drum. We have this one, beri, a kettle drum used especially in the battlefield, kettle drum. And also, uh, sometimes we have this form ber, but beri is a much more common form for the meaning of drum. And the example for this Varnatmaka is the language like Sanskrit and so. Um, Also, I think not only Sanskrit but also Pali, Prakrit. That is all for the can be the example of Varnatmaka. But as we know that uh, Prakrit is somehow like according to some ultimately uh, right-winged views. Only only Sanskrit can be the very pure and language and the language for God. Prakrit is not. It's only a vernacular things talked used by uh, peoples with not very good education. But that is actually not true. Yeah, not true. Okay, so this note 32, he says, both linguistic and non-linguistic noise are called shabda. Its medium is believed to be the ether, should be ether, not the sky, as per the knowledge of physics of those days. Well, it has basically nothing to help us. But this word shabda, yeah, Shabda is actually also has many different meanings. Um, Shabda can mean a word or just the verbal communication as one of the true knowledge brahmanas. One of the four brahmanas admitted by the Nayayika philosophers. Yes, the verbal communication or testimony. We usually say it as testimony. Is a kind of authoritative expressions or this yes verbal authority or evidence. That is very important for Nayayikas, and also the authority of Shabda has long been discussed by different philosophical schools, and but I think here it's a different stories for us. We'll leave it to other readings, maybe for them later courses. Okay, text 33. Now he goes to the field of buddhi. Sarva vyavahara hetur jnanam buddhi. Sadvivida smritir anubhavascheti. So buddhi. Here the translator says it should be a knowledge. Well, it can be that, but actually buddhi has also many different meanings. Um, well, it can be the perception or the comprehension, understanding, concepts, intelligence. Well, anything can be that. Well, in this case, maybe we have to follow the translator. Knowledge is that cognition which prompts all behaviors of living beings. That is of two types: remembrance and experience. So smriti is the remembrance or recollection, and anubhava is the experience. Okay, here we have long long notes to be noticed. Human beings perform three types of behavior and the act of going forward and getting something to get something, the act of withdrawal to get rid of something, and the conscious act of remaining neutral. All these three kinds of behavior are prompted by cognition or knowledge. The knowledge presents the world before them Well, there's no, I would say this cognizer with a form and a name. And if he wants it, he goes to collect it. If he does not want it, he withdraws from it. And if he neither wants it to get it nor to get rid of it, he remains indifferent. But in any case, it is the cognition or knowledge that prompts these behaviors. It is our experience that some behaviors or activities are successful in the sense that whatever is shown by cognition, the same is obtained, while some other behaviors are not successful in the sense that their X is shown by cognition but Y is obtained. But in both the cases, the prompting factor is nothing but cognition. It is only after one gets the same thing which has shown by cognition one comes to conclude that the prompting cognition was a true cognition. And when he meets a failure, he comes to conclude that the prompting cognition of his behavior was a false one. Thus, all behaviors are prompted by cognition. Here he's saying that actually all all daily all daily behaviors done by human beings is actually under the influence of our previous experience, both the remembrance and experience. Only when we have such kind of pre pre knowledge can we have this cognition and that prompts us to do something. Okay, then 34. Okay, then he's talking about what is remembrance. Sanskara matra jnanam smriti. Tat vinnam jnanam anubhava. Sat vivido yatarto ayatartascha. Ayatartascheti. Remembrance is that kind of cognition which is caused by impressions, sanskara. Oh, okay, this is also a very important word actually. So caused by impressions alone left behind by experience. Whatever is not remembrance is an experience. That is also of two types, true and false. Well, here we can see that his definition of smriti, that is caused by impression alone, left behind by experiences. But here we see that it is sanskara matrajanya, that is caused only by the impressions. That is the smriti. For example, if we have to uh, recite something, yes, for example, to recite Chinese poetries. How do we know that we can recite? It is actually by previous educations down in the primary schools. So the impressions during our childhood makes us allows us or enables us to recite these old poetries. And what is different from this smriti is actually the experience. That means that it is not kind of impression, but we really have experienced this before. And when somebody asks you, have you been to somewhere? And then you have uh, re- take this recollection and say, yes, I have that experience. So that is the anubhava. you have really experienced that before. But we should remember that both remembrance and experience can be true or false. Yeah, cognition is kind of experience. It comes and goes, but before vanishing, it leaves. Before vanishing, it leaves behind some impressions, which cause remembrance later. Thus, cognition other than remembrance is called experience, which may be true or false. Similarly, remembrance produced by impressions, which are left behind by a true experience, is also true. So, if you have something that, for example, when we recite Chinese poetry, for example, the famous those composed by famous poets Li Bai, and if you unfortunately remember it in a very corrupted form or even a wrong form, since your childhood, then one day, if your children ask you, "Hey, father, can you recite to me the one of the famous poems composed by the poet Li Bai?" And you recite it according to your remembrance to your children. And unfortunately, you make you make that mistake again. So that means that the false experience or false remembrance really causes a, a wrong cognition or something else. Okay, then we come to 35. Then he talks about what is really a kind of true experience. Tadvati tat prakara konubhavo yathartha. Saiva prameti uchyate. Yatha rajate idam rajatam iti jnanam. A true experience is that which reflects the qualifier in its own locus. So we have to see. Tat prakara tatvati, that is the locus, yes. So only when you reflect its qualifier, that is we say that avachedaka, which has been mentioned long, long before, avachedaka, the delimiter. This is called this Brahma. I don't like this translation. No, I will call it true knowledge. It's not kind of because knowledge can also be false. So I would call it. It is called true knowledge, Brahma. Brahma is this true experience. True experience brings forth true knowledge. For example, the knowledge of this is silver in silver. Okay. Rajate idam rajatam iti. So when you see something that is shining on the beach, you may thought that it be a pearl or silver, and then you goes up to that spot and find finally that it is truly silver but not pearl. So by that time you will see that the true knowledge as reflected in the silver, because according to our knowledge, silver is a kind of metal that is shines white white brilliance or every silver brilliance. But sometimes you may find that pearls can also reflect silver brilliance. So in some cases, you have to really distinguish that. Here we counter some very complicated discussion. Let us read it together. If there is a reality, say X, in this world, and when I know it, if it appears as X, this cognition will be called a true cognition. So we cognize X as X because we've seen it as X in the material world, and also we know it that it is truly X. Only in that case we have this true cognition of X. To explain every entity which is referred to by language in this world exists with the following structure. So we have the quality dharma and the quality possessor dharma. The relation between them is, we call it sambandha. So in the case of pot, we have the pot as the locus of its quality, potness. And this potness is what we call avachedaka for the pot. How do we distinguish pot from other things? For example, jars, or even the rice, or something like metal bottles. How do we distinguish that? The delimiter is actually this potness. So the relationship between potness and pot is called inherence. Potness is inherited in a pot. Every pot should possess a potness. If it is the case that when this pot is internalized by, say, the process of perception, it goes inside the cognition and reflects the same structure, such as like this. So here in the cognition, we know that, we cognize that, yes, there is a pot. And I know that there is a potness in the pot. And I know that the relationship between these two things, the inherence. So that is also a picture reflected in our cognition. So I feel sorry that maybe I should have a pause here for 5 minutes. There's something I have to deal with in the room. So could you please wait somehow like 5 minutes, and we will start at 1941. I think we stopped here, so we continue to read his explanation. We can say that this is a true cognition where potness has appeared in its own locus. So here we see this graph. The locus is pot, and its avachedaka, hotness, is located here, its quality. The relationship between these two is called inherence. So the definition may be understood as follows. Tat equals to xness. Tatvat equals to the possessor of xness, that is x. So in the case of pot, tat is the potness, tatvat is the pot itself. So xness is the qualification of x. In the cognition of x, if xness appears as the qualifier, it is to be treated as a true cognition of experience. For instance, if silverness, Raja Tattva, appears in the knowledge of its own locus, it is the silver, it will be called the true cognition of silver, where tat means silverness, so like this. And only in our mind, when this graph is formed, can we say that we have the true cognition or the true judgment. This is silver. Okay, that is the process to analyze how we correctly understand something. So then we go to 36. Tad abhavavati. Here he goes to the wrong cognition or false cognition. Tad prakara konubhavo yathartha. Sa eva brahma ityujate. Yatha shukta vidam rajatam iti jnana. Okay, here we come to the example that I have said. When sometimes you will be confused when we see something which has the white brilliance. Is that silver or pearl? So here we comes to this situation, the occasion. A false cognition is that experience which reflects qualifier in a locus which in fact possesses absence of that qualifier. This is called an error or erroneous cognition. Well, he does not translate this later part. For example, in the case of Shukta, that is the pearl, Shukta, the feminine form, Shukta, or Shukti actually, Shukti. That is a pearl oyster or oyster shell. Somebody may treat oyster shell wrongly as silver because they both have like silver brilliance or white brilliance. So when we see a oyster shell, you may think that it is silver. So at this moment, you make a wrong cognition. Okay, but if it is a case that silverness appears in the cognition which emerges after looking at a conch shell by mistake, this cognition of silver will be called a false cognition because here silverness has appeared in the locus where there is an absence of silverness. Since that locus, the conch shell, is not the natural locus of silverness. And then the author put it diagrammatically. So here we see that there is the absence of silverness in conch shell. So we all know that in conch shell, the avachedaka can only be this conch shellness, but not silverness. If we put wrongly this silverness onto this conch shell, then we really makes a erroneous cognition. That is not correct. Okay, then we see next. So in this case, this tat refers to the silverness, but its locus, but it naturally should not exist naturally in a conch shell. So in this case, we will say that in conch shell, there's only the absence of silverness. If we make a judgment with the help of such kind of what we say, there's such kind of absence, then we should call it a wrong cognition. In any case of behavior, the prompting cognition must be a verbalizable cognition, because it is the verbalizable cognition, or a sabvikalpaka jnana, conceptual cognition, conceptual knowledge. Okay, this word is, I think, important for all philosophical schools of Indian philosophy. We have savikalpaka jnana and also nirvikalpaka jnana. So this sa means that it is a kind of a conceptual cognition or knowledge, and the nir one is the non-conceptual cognition. So I think for Buddhists, they will strictly admit only the nirvikalpaka jnana, because everything that comes later is a conceptualized thing, and with that also means nothing, means fake to Buddhists. And actually, this conceptual cognition and knowledge can present the world clearly with a name and a form. So we call it conceptual knowledge. Because if we have to cognize the external world, we should give names and forms to everything that comes into our eyes. Okay, then 37. He is talking about what are the four true cognition or true knowledges. Yatharthanubhava chaturvida. Pratyakshanumiti upamiti shabda vedat. Tat karanamapi chaturvida. Vidam. Pratyakshanumana anumanopamana shabda veda. So four types of true knowledge or true cognition. That is perceptual, pratyaksha, inferential, anumiti, and analogical, upamiti, and then verbal, shabda. And there are four instruments that can help us reveals for true cognition. That is the pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, and shabda. Here we also should pay attention to the difference between Nyaya Vaisheshika and Buddhism. For Buddhists, they always, I have to say, always believe that the instrument to reveal true knowledge is actually the same as the final true knowledge. So they do not distinguish the instrument and its results. But for other orthodox Indian philosophers, they always distinguish the difference between the instrument and its final results. So the four processes of internalizing the world. Internalize means making the world an object of cognition. Each process generates a distinct type of cognition. Thus, the world can be an object of perceptual cognition, or an inferential cognition, or an analogical cognition, or a verbal understanding. The Nyaya Vaisheshika system accepts only four types of cognition. I think it should be a knowledge, true knowledge. And corresponding to these four types, they accept only four processes of internalizing. I would say that it's like pramana, that is the methods for knowing the true knowledge. Yes, he's only four pramanas. I think here we can make a note here. So four pramanas accepted or admitted by Nyaya Vaisheshika. So these four are first pratyaksha, that is the direct perception done by our sense organs. Pratyaksha, I would say direct perception. So the second one is anumana, that is the inference, logical inference. The third one is upamana, that is the analogy. The fourth one is shabda or testimony. These four are the four pramana admitted by Nyaya Vaisheshika system. Other schools may admit more than four or even less than four. For example, for the Mimamsa, the well-known schools focusing on Vedic rituals, and also they have a very unique philosophy, system of philosophy. Mimamsas as other two actually. They also admit, I think. Let me see. So one is called abhava, absence. The other one should be. Let me see. I was a little bit forgetting what is the another. Uh, Maybe I should have take a look. Six pramana in Mimamsa. Okay, they have too many things. Yes, upamana. Maybe I have to check here. Or should I look here? Pramana. Okay. I remember. I just remember that. Abhava, or called unupalabdhi. These two actually is, in some cases, are recognized as the same thing, but I think they are not so. They are not the same thing. So besides abhava or anupalabdhi, there's also this arthapati. Arthapati is also very interesting topics. Is an interesting topic in the research of Mimamsa, because it is usually said it is kind of hypothesis. But I think to translate it into hypothesis is not enough actually, because this such kind of hypothesis should meet several very strict requirements. For example, it should be somehow like it should sound like reasonable. For example, this Arthapati has a very famous examples. When you see somebody not eating for the whole day, I will write it. Devadatta does not eat for the whole day. Therefore, we make a Arthapati. He must have eaten a lot before. Yeah, that this kind of Arthapati, such kind of so-called inference sounds quite reasonable, because according to our daily experience, if someone does not eat for the whole day, then we may have a very reasonable inference. He must have eaten something, or he must have eaten a lot before today. Yeah, yesterday he must have had a lot for his dinner, which causes him not, which makes him not wanting to eat today. So that is kind of arthabati. But we should also pay attention to the difference between arthabati and anumana. Anumana is a kind of really strictly limited logical inference, but here arthabati can be of no logic. It's just a kind of reasonable inference, not a really logical inference. So that is the really big difference between these two. Okay, here he also draws a picture here. We see that the process of perception, inference, analogy, understanding of sentence, shabda. So the object or the W really finally causes the perceptual cognition knowledge, inferential knowledge, analogical knowledge, and verbal knowledge. Okay. Then we go to text 38. Okay, from here, from 38, we'll start. We will come to a quite complicated uh, content. Here he is talking about what is a instrument. What is karana? What is karana? This word karana is somehow, I think, more common in a grammatical context, also very common in the philosophical context. Karana, how we should define, or how should we define what karana is? So here, Anambata says asadharanam karana. Somehow a uncommon factor which is involved in a function. Asadharana, this word is also used a lot in philosophical context. Not common, special, specific, a special kind of thing, or even some kind, quite uncommon, extraordinary. So some kind of special kind of reason, kind of cause. That is the definition for instrument, karana. Not karana, but karana. Next, you say karya niyata purvavrti karanam. What is karana? What is a cause? A cause is that which invariably precedes an effect. Now he is trying to define what is this cause-effect relationship. So what is a karana? What is a cause? Cause is something that invariably precedes an effect. Only when you have a cause can we have a result. No, actually, no, not actually. Only when we have a result, a cardiac. When you see this result, we can infer that this must have something that precedes it and serves as its cause. That is a karana. Karyanyata purabhati. That it always exists before, or it should always precede a result. When we have some kind of result, it must have its cause. And then what is a result? What is a karya? Karyam prag abhava pratiyogi. Okay, he said. A cause, an effect is that which is the counter positive of a pre-absence. So he defines karya, the result, as something that should be a counter positive of the prag abhava, previous absence. So for example, previously there is no pot on this ground, but now because somebody has made a pot, we see finally that on this ground there is the existence of a pot. This pot is the existence of this pot is called karya. It is somehow the counterpart of its absence before this prag above. Can be somehow a little bit confusing if you do not know what I'm saying. So this concept prag above, we usually translate it as previous absence. That means, for example, we take an example here. Previously, there was no pot here at all. Here, that is the Prague Abba. Previously, there's no pot here, actually. But now, we have this Karya. Now, here exists a pot. So this Karya, the existence of pot at this moment, is the counterpart towards this Prague Abba. That means that previously there was no pot at all. So these two are actually the controversial thing. Okay, then we comes to next. What is the Karana? So he is defining everything. Karana. What is a cause? Karanam trividam samavayi asamavayi nimitta bedat. Okay. Cause is of three different kinds: material, non-material, and efficient. So samavayi is material, asamavayi is non-material, and the third one, nimitta, is the efficient. So actually, we have in Sanskrit 4 different kind of karana. I don't know if you have heard that or not, but actually, when I learned this, our teacher always told us there are actually 4 different kind of karanas in Sanskrit, or sometimes we call it 3 different kind of karana. There's samavayin. That is the closely connected or the concomitant inherited. And its nimitta is somehow different. Usually we call it instrumental or efficient cause, as it is opposite to upadana, the operative or material cause. So this one can be somehow different to what we are talking about here. Here we have only samavayi and asamavayi and nimitta. Nimitta is the efficient cause or the instrumental cause. But this samavayi, should that be translated into material or non-material? That we should have doubt on it. Okay, let's continue to read this. Yat samavetam karyam utpadyate tat samavayi karanam. Okay, yatha tantava 和 pattasya pattascha svagata rupade. Okay, what is a kind of material cause? Is that is something where an effect is produced by the relationship of inherence. I would call it somehow like inherent cause. For example, the threads are the material cause of cloth, and cloth is the material cause of its color. So we will go back to the text. Tantu is the threads. They are the cause to make a cloth, and cloth is can be the cause for its own color, rupa. So this is how Anambata defines the so-called material cause or samavayi karana. The next one is asamavayi karana. How does he define it? Karyena karanena va sahai kasmin arte samavetatve sati yat karanam tat asamavayi karana. Yatha tantu sanyoga pattasya Tandurupam Pattagata Swarupasya. Okay, the non-material cause is that which exists in the locus of either the effect or the cause. For example, the contact of the threads is the non-material cause of the cloth, and the color of the thread is the non-material cause of the color of the cloth. Well, seems to be a little bit confusing. Well, we should actually go back here. Either by the effect or the cause. Saha ekasmi in one place, in one kind, in only one art, in only one object. That kind of cause is called asamavai karana, which exists in a locus of either the effect or the cause. That means it is somehow like independent thing. So his example, the contact of the threads. Yes, so we should compare this to the previous paragraph. So we know that only with the threads can we make a cloth. But the problem with that, does the connection or the combination of different threads, of numerous, many different threads, is this such kind of combination of threads the real cause of making a cloth? It should not be. So we know that the contact of threads, just the combination, the sum yoga, it does not exist in only one thread. It does not exist either in the final cloth. It's the same thing that when we say that there are different for each different thread, they have their own color, but the color of each different thread does not influence the final effect. That is the color of the cloth. So these two, the color of threads does not exist in its effect or its cause. So that is what Anambata would like to say. So the third one, tad ubaya bin nam karanam nimitta karanam yatha turive madikam partasya. Tad eta trivida karanamadye yad asadaranam karanam tad eva karanam. So an efficient cause is that which is different from both these varieties. For example, the instruments of the weaver are the efficient cause of cloth. Turive, yeah. This word seems to turi. Should be 2D or something like, or even 2 2D. Okay, swift, weaver's brush, or sometimes pronounced as 2D. Okay, 2D ka. Okay, a weaver's brush. That is the instrument used by a weaver to make different threads into a cloth. Okay, of these three types of cause, whatever is uncommon is called an instrument. So among these three, the ultimately outstanding one, or the ultimately different one is we should call it as karana. the instrument. So a cause is a factor or karaka which is involved in producing effect. Pramana, or the process of internalizing the world, is an instrument case, karana karaka. What is this instrumentality? There are several notions of instrumentality. We may discuss here and some of them. Let us take the following. So here, Pala yoga vyavachinnam karanam. Vyapara vada. Vyapara vad asadaranam karanam. Samagri karanam. Let us say that X produces Y through Z. This can be presented as a false. X through Z results in Y. Here, X is the function vyapara of X. If Z is a function, it should satisfy the two following conditions. It has to be produced by X, and it will produce Y, which is produced by X. The Shastric formulation of the concept vyapara goes like this: tat janya tve sati, tat janya janakah vyapara. Where tat means X and the first tat janya here stands for Z and the second tat janya here stands for Y. Thus, the definition of vyapara will read like the following. Vyapara is that which is produced by X here, and which produces Y, which is also produced by X. Here, if we apply the first notion of karana stated above, this one, para yoga vyavachinna karana, we will identify Z as the instrumental case because immediately after Z, Y comes into being. So we go back to this. Actually, this Z is here. It stands for the instrument. That is an instrument immediately after which the result comes into being. That vyapara is an instrument according to this view. But if we apply the concept 2 mentioned above, X, okay, this 2, this vyapara vad asadaranam karanam. Then X will become the instrument. X will become it, but not Z, because it is X which is involved in the function Z. And if we apply the third one, this samagri karana, that is the conglomerate of different causes or instruments. Mentioned above, the collection of all factors leading to Y will be considered to be the karana karaka. What we find here in this text of Tarka Sangara is the second concept of karana is applied. So the anambata is stand for the second one. Vyapara vad asadaranam karanam. So this two, that means X will become instrument because it is X which involved in the function of Z. So first, actually, he sees it as somehow like two different steps. First, through the function, by the function of X, Z is produced. And then through Z, Y is produced. So X here, we should see it as the current. A cause is that which invariably precedes its effect and which is not redundant either. A substance alone can be the material cause, and quality and action only can be a non-material cause. So if we put this as a graph like this, so here we can see that here is the relationship between cloth and threads. and threads are the material cause for cloth. The relationship between these two are inherence. Threads are actually the original place and to find the results to the cloth. Here, the whole, namely the cloth, is produced in the threads. By the relation of inherence, therefore, threads are the material cause of cloth. Here, material cause refers to this samavai karana. But for the non-material cause, it's somehow like more complicated thing. Here we have already discussed the color of actually like this threads and cloth, but here we see this color. Here the color of the threads is the non-material cause of the effect, namely the color of the cloth, because the color of the threads exists in the same locus. Yeah, so the color of threads exists in the threads. Because the color of threads exists in the same locus by inherence where the material cause, that is the cloth of the effect, it is the color of the cloth also exists. The material as well as the non-material cause of the color of the cloth exists in one and the same locus, namely the thread. So in here we see that actually colors, the relationship between color and threads are inherent. Here actually the colors is inherent in threads, and threads are also inherent in cloth. This is how the color of the threads get related to the final cloth. But these two, the color of threads is not directly related to the final cloth. Therefore, these are the color of threads is not a kind of non-material cause. All other factors needed to produce an effect are grouped in one box called auxiliary costs or efficient costs. All effects are analyzed in this system in terms of these three types of causes: material, monetary, and auxiliary. So we should remember the names of these three categories. That is the samavai karana, asamavai karana, and nimitta karana. Okay, these are the three types of the so-called different causes. Okay, I think today we should stop here because we've talked a lot about how Anambatan sees the relationship of inherence and how he understands this material cause, non-material cause, and efficient cause, and a lot of things. And next time when we continue reading Tarka Sangraha, we will start from how Anambata sees the four pramanas, the pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, and shabda. And I think for those who are interested in philosophies, this part may be more interesting for you because it concerns the epistemology of how ancient Indians observe the world. So I think maybe you will be more interesting than today. Any questions for today's reading? Okay, if no questions, then I think we can stop here and Again, I will thank everybody who are attending today, and we just enjoyed reading some simple philosophical texts written in Sanskrit. So I hope also next time you can also attend this course. And if there's no other changes, I think next Sunday we will also have my course that is the intermediate Sanskrit. We will read the Spire's Sanskrit syntax that is taught in Chinese. So I hope everybody can who are interested in my courses can can join and learn. Let's learn the syntax together to deepen our understanding of Sanskrit. Okay, that's all for today's class, and I hope everybody enjoy a good night. Okay, bye bye. See you next time.